And so today we're going to be covering off a much requested coin, and that is Rune. The Rune token is from the ThorChain blockchain. So yes, you guys have been asking quite a lot in the comments, in the Discord, what are my thoughts around this project? And I've been a little bit hesitant to cover it off, but in this video, I'm going to cover off whether I think the Rune token can 181x from here. What are they trying to achieve? What do the technicals look like? Because of course, it's not a Ijaz 1 video if we don't cover off the technicals and the fundamentals. We're going to touch on some tokenomics. We're going to see how they stack up versus some of the other layer ones and also some of the other internet of blockchain type plays. And we're going to come to a bit of a conclusion around where do I stand with Rune. So make sure you stay tuned till the very end. Hit up the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. As always, these videos are brought to you by my very own course member live streams, ijaz.uk/member. So if you like my perspective and how I break down different projects, consider joining those member live streams, ijaz.uk/member. Without further ado, let's move straight on. And the coin we're looking at today is the Rune token by ThorChain. And ThorChain is considered a primarily independent blockchain, but we need to understand that it's built on the Cosmos SDK, okay? For those who aren't familiar, we've covered off Cosmos a good few times on this channel. Cosmos with the Atom token are an internet of blockchain play. They've set up their IBC, inter-blockchain well, I can't remember what the C stands for, but they've set up the inter-blockchain community, which allows the blockchains to work between each other, right? And they're responsible for things like Binance Coin, Terra, and you can see obviously ThorChain is built using the same technology as well. So they're using Tendermint. Now, the interesting thing with ThorChain, and really their, let's call it USP, because any great project needs a little bit of USP, is they're trying to democratize cross-chain liquidity. So if you know, in crypto, one of the biggest challenges is liquidity. It's when you set up a new project is how do we get enough of each token so people can trade and get on with their business as usual. You don't want to run into liquidity crises. Now, how some of these other blockchain kind of deal with this is by using wrap tokens, right, to bridge across. But what ThorChain are doing is not doing that. They have a continuous liquidity pool containing these state assets. So you can swap from Bitcoin to Ethereum, but via Rune. So you're going to go from Bitcoin to Rune and then Rune to Ethereum to get your Bitcoin to Ethereum trade. No wrapped BTC or anything like this. You're going from directly the native assets. And the benefits for the users are you can stake directly in the ecosystem and get your APYs, right? You can stake some Bitcoin and some Rune in a liquidity pool, and you can get some return by doing so. Now, of course, they've got a swap as well built in. So then the question arises, in order to value this and get an idea of what kind of a project is this, we've got to understand who are they competing with? And this is difficult because, like I've just described, it's a bit of a different project. Yes, it's technically a layer one. Yes, you can say it competes with maybe the likes of Phantom or Ethereum or Solana. But more importantly, you've also got this internet of blockchain kind of title moniker it's receiving, in which case you have to then compare it to the likes of something like Cosmos or something like Polkadot. So we're going to do that. We're going to take a look at who their competitors are, what kind of market caps are they trading at, and we'll get a good idea of how much work ThorChain has to do to keep up. Now, the other important thing to note is this is a proof of stake blockchain. And as we know, a lot of the solid layer one solutions right now are being built on proof of stake. Now, I do want to point out one more fundamental point before kind of looking at some of the valuation. And that is that there is no founder, no CEO, no board of directors on this project. So this is a completely decentralized project where all decisions are made on the GitLab. So you go through the GitLab and all decisions are made through there, through voting on the GitLab. So there's no figurehead. There's no Charles Hodgkinson. There's no Anatoly from Solana. There's no Do Kwon from Luna, right? There's no figurehead. There's no figurehead for us to point out or to do the marketing. This is almost like a Bitcoin-esque Satoshi type play, right? It's just completely decentralized, although we know it is based in Switzerland. So that's one thing for that. Now, the other thing which was really important is that they've partnered with Luna, who's on a hot run right now, very popular protocol, to enable UST on the platform as well. And that's going to be huge to allow more users to access trading and staking. So that's a big point on the fundamental perspective as well. Right, so let's get straight into this, because what I really want to do is start playing around with some of these permutations. And the first one I want to do, just because we do this on this channel a lot, is I want to cover off Phantom. So let's take Rune, which is sitting at $6.32, and Phantom, which currently is sitting crazy at 78 cents. It was as low as 65 cents, I think, a couple of days ago when we covered it. Now, Rune is already sitting at 1.0, just slightly under. I think it depends on when you take the market cap, read them. Call it the same. It's the same market cap as Phantom. And I'm going to cover off whether this is a good thing or a bad thing shortly in terms of your potential for Rune. So that's the first thing I want to point out. This is, trading at the same value as Phantom. And we're going to come on to a few more fundamental points. So just hold that thought for now. And then what I want to do is I want to then compare it to something like Solana. If we compare it to Solana, which is a big project, you can then see we are 15x away from a project like Solana. So again, take that how you will, but Solana is a far bigger project, and something like Rune is sitting at a 15x from there. Is that more than you think? Is that less than you think? If you're taking a risk in a project like Rune, would you want more than a 15x, or are you happy with that 15x if it was to reach the price of Solana? Now remember, Solana is super undervalued right now. It's sitting at $88, right? So this is the other thing you have to take into consideration. This is a 15x to get to where Solana is today. But Solana can 3x from here. So that would be a 45x. You know what I'm saying? Because Solana's super suppressed right now. The whole market is suppressed right now. So you have to take this in terms of what could the price of your favorite token be in a bull run, in the best light it could be in, right? Because if you're investing for the long run, you want to say, okay, in the perfect situation, Bitcoin's running to all-time highs, Solana moving, all other coins moving, what would Rune's valuation be? But what I'm saying is it's a 15x even to get to Solana's current multiple. So this is being conservative. Okay, so hopefully that gives you some food for thought. Let's now pick another project. Let's pick something like Algorand, which we cover a lot. And you'll see here, it's a 2.5x to get to the market cap of Algorand. Okay, so hopefully that gives you an idea. Now I want to pick a Polkadot. And the reason I want to pick Polkadot is we know Polkadot with all their parachains are more of an internet of blockchain play. Okay, so let's pick DOT, just to give you an idea from that side of things, and if they were going to go down that route. And again, to get to where DOT is today, and DOT again is super undervalued, it's super suppressed right now, as many coins are today, it's still at almost 9x from now in terms of its market cap to get to DOT. Now that could be closer to 27, 30 times if DOT was, in full effect, closer to $35, $40 on DOT. Hopefully that gives you a good idea. That's a $55 Rune token. The other one I want to compare to is something like ADA. And I'm going to show you why I'm comparing to ADA, but it's a 13x of the valuation away from ADA, sitting at 79 cents. Remember again, ADA can be 3x from here, almost more than 3.5x from here, closer to $3 mark. So again, you're looking at between a 13 to 30x even to get to kind of the ADA bull run potential. So hopefully that gives you a good idea. But what I do want to sprinkle on top of this now, before I come to, actually no, I've got to show you the 181x scenario, because it's good to understand that. And that is if we compare to something like Ethereum. So let me just get this plugged in, if this lets me. If I type correctly, you will see Ethereum. Yep. Come on, computer. There you go. And you see there that if you hit Ethereum's current market cap, and again, Ethereum's not the highest price it's ever been at, far from it, it's below $3,000. It's 181x to get to the market cap of Ethereum. Now you've got to ask, it's a hell of a long way to get to there, right? And we're going to come on to why, because there's a lot of work to do here on this blockchain. But it's good to have, what is that gold bar that we can get to? Because there's a lot of people go, I'm going to invest in Rune, and it's going to do a 10,000x. Yeah, what's your basis for that? I mean, even if it got to Ethereum's current market cap, it's only 181x. If it got to Ethereum's best ever market cap, maybe, you can talk a 500x, right? That kind of value. So where are you getting 5,000x, 10,000x? You're just making numbers out from the sky. Like, that's not how crypto works. So anybody who's telling you that, it's always good to start off with any project when you're coming across a project for new. Set your expectations. Do this exercise. Come onto this website, MarketCapOf, and just play with this so you understand how this works. Or what are realistic expectations for this project? And start finding the projects that are comparable. I mean, if we compare this to Cosmos as the other one to compare it to, let's see if we can get Cosmos up. Slowest website in the world, and that's a 3x from Cosmos. And again, we know Cosmos has been higher, but it gives you an idea that it's about a third of the current Cosmos price in the market right now. So now what I want to do is I want to come across to DeFiLlama, and I want to look at total value locked. If I come down, you can see ThorChain is sat in 22nd position. with about 400 million here in total value locked. Okay, now why is this important? The reason this is important is we just looked at ThorChain versus Phantom as an example. And you guys know why I'm super bullish on Phantom. I speak about Phantom a lot. But I just want to put things into perspective, because if you're going to buy a new toy or a new car, wouldn't you want to compare the specs of the new car you're going to buy to the car you already have, which you know how fast it feels, you know, you're a bit more used to it, right? You're going to compare the stats. Let's do that. So we compare this 400 million in total value locked, and you see that Phantom is sitting at 4 billion. So it's 10x the total value locked of ThorChain. But here's the catch. It's 10x the total value locked, but it's the same market cap. That is crazy, okay? Because when you look at ThorChain, for each dollar it has locked in total value locked here. I don't know if you guys can see that. Hopefully you can see that. There you go. 400 million. For each dollar in that 400 million it's got locked, it's 4.6 times the value. So this is market cap to TVL ratio. Very important ratio to monitor. Okay? So its market cap is 4.6 times multiplied by this 411. Very important. Whereas, what is Phantoms? Does anybody remember? Because we monitor this a lot on this channel. Let's go and take a look at Phantoms. You can see Phantom sitting at 4.11 billion in value locked, sitting at 0.5, let's call it, market cap to TVL. Crazy. One of the cheapest ratios in all of DeFi. Look at it, particularly amongst the top 10. This is crazy. This is crazy valuation, and this is why Phantom is so undervalued, and why Rune is looking particularly overvalued right now in terms of its market cap to TVL. Okay, granted, there are other things that bring the ecosystem value, such as its continuous liquidity pool. We understand that, and people are in it for the APYs. But let's come back down to it and see it again. You've got the one protocol. The only protocol you have on Rune right now is Rune itself, is ThorChain itself. People are staking in ThorChain, as I described, for the liquidity, right? So they're staking a BTC Rune pair and they're making return on it. And you can see here, over the last 7 days, that's fallen 15%. I wouldn't worry about that too much. The growth has been pretty good. This is obviously the market downturn, so I wouldn't be too worried about that. It's moving quite nicely here in total value locked. But they've not managed to create other projects. They've not created bridges for other DeFi projects to come in. Again, let's compare that to Phantom, not because I love Phantom particularly, but just we can compare it to anyone, right? Ethereum, 479 protocols. So if we want to talk about that 181x, Ethereum is sitting at 479 with 110 billion in total value locked, right? They have 400 million in total value locked. So really important. Phantom, 222 protocols. Let's say we don't want to look at Phantom. Let's compare to Avalanche, 206 protocols. Luna, 28 protocols, but we know Anchor Protocol is huge for them, right? Maybe that's the kind of route ThorChain are trying to go down to, where they want to rely on their ThorChain and grow that to huge amounts of total value locked. But you need other projects on there. That's the part of the challenge. Okay, now the other thing I want to look at is, let's look at Phantom here. You got Phantom sat here with a 2 billion market cap. Okay, which is about the same as ThorChain. ThorChain is about 2.1 billion. Now, the fully diluted market cap, remember, this is when all coins are in circulation, because Phantom has 80% coins in circulation already. The fully diluted is 2.5. Now, I want to go back to ThorChain. I'm going to show you the same thing. 2.1 market cap, so slightly higher, but the fully diluted is 3.2. Okay, because 66% is in circulating supply. So you still have another 34% to come into the market, something you need to keep an eye on. It's not particularly bad. I've seen much worse than this in terms of coins coming out into the market, in terms of diluted. But the diluted valuation is 3.2 versus Phantom's 2.4 with 10x the total value locked. Okay, we've got to keep this into perspective in terms of what's a cheaper, more undervalued project. Now, that doesn't mean there isn't room for something like ThorChain in your portfolio. You can argue there is, but you've got to be very sensible with the amount of ThorChain you keep in your portfolio. If you are doing so, you really want to be nibbling on this and seeing how does this perform. Can you get some really cheap price points? And that brings us on to our to our technicals. Because sitting here on the daily chart, these were some trend lines we drew quite a while back, because we monitor this in our course member live stream. Just because I don't cover it off on the channel, it doesn't mean we're not monitoring coins. We're monitoring coins on a daily basis, and ThorChain was something we've been monitoring for a while. And you'll see that we ran as high in May 2021 when things were quite interesting, all the way up here to about $21. And successively, we created lower highs, right? We then had a high of 17, and we've created a high of 13. So we're in a downward trend. as is normal here in this crazy market. But we've got a price floor here at about $3. And that $3 floor is the kind of price point where you're looking at. And for me, the reason that's an exciting price point is if you can get it closer to the floor here at $3, then you're looking at a market cap closer to 1 billion, right? 1 billion market cap. Ideally, you want to catch a risky project like ThorChain under a billion market cap. But sitting now at 2 billion, you end up weighing it up with other projects which are sitting at 2 billion. And if we go to CoinMarketCap, and just to try peruse some of these kind of coins sitting at these different levels at 2 billion, and you scroll down to the section, if this website wants to load, as it's always slow, I hate this website. But as we start to see what are the different projects at 2 billion, you've got something like Phantom sitting there at 2 billion. You've got things like Algorand sitting there at 2 billion. This doesn't want to load. You've got some interesting coins sitting at 2 billion. And that's when you need to start comparing, okay, am I going to put some more in something like Phantom, or I'm going to put some in ThorChain with Rune? Now, the question will come down to your particular portfolio allocation, your particular risk tolerance. If you've already got, say, enough Algorand or ThorChain, maybe you want to take a risk with another type of layer one, something which has a bit more potential, something that's doing something a bit differently. Maybe you do want to allocate a little bit across to Rune, ThorChain. Nothing wrong with doing that. But if you didn't have any Phantom, you didn't have any Algorand, and you didn't have any other projects at the moment, would you necessarily go for ThorChain? That I'd have to hold reservation on, because my conviction in some of those other projects are far greater, particularly at the current price points, particularly with something like Phantom sitting where it is right now at 79 cents, particularly with Solana sitting at 88, ADA for me sitting at 79, which already is, fast outpaced ThorChain's total value locked, right? It's already ahead of it. When you look at these other projects, even Luna sitting at 85, Avalanche sitting at $61, right? You're pound for pound starting to pay a lot more for ThorChain's total value locked at a very delicate early stage in the project lifestyle. But if you've already got a balanced portfolio and you just want to have a little bit more exposure, maybe you've got room for another coin and you've got some bandwidth to build some conviction in another project, maybe ThorChain is one for you to look at. Maybe it's one for you to look at, start studying, nibbling on a little bit, giving it a very small allocation in the layer one / internet of blockchain type plays in your portfolio. Maybe you diversify some of your profits from something like Polkadot if you have any, or some of your profits from Cosmos, just to kind of give yourself a little bit more exposure to the internet of blockchain plays. Then maybe this is an interesting project. But again, I'd be waiting on this pattern, because if this pattern can break to the upside from this technical pattern, then you want to be getting back to $21. And the risk to reward is far more interesting the closer we get to this area here. The closer we can get, if I just see if I can, let's see if we can get to, closer we can get to like this kind of area here, that's where things start to get interesting. Okay. Now, it might not necessarily come all the way down to $3, but if you're getting it 3.5, this kind of range here, the risk to reward is a 6 to 7x when you get to $21, right? That's far more interesting than buying at the top here at about 11 and trying to get to 21, because the downside is not fun there. From 11 riding it all the way down to 3, you're going to feel that pain. So wait for the pullbacks, let it come into interesting positions. If you want to build up position, always be patient. Always be patient. Wait for pullbacks. I mean, look at this. People are buying here at 13 already. We're now sitting at $6, right? It's halved in price. Be patient. And we're talking from 2nd of April. Crazy. Always be patient, build your conviction, and then wait for pullbacks, particularly when building new positions in new projects for your portfolio. Lastly, before we wrap this first video up on ThorChain, let's also take a look at the weeklies, and you can see the weeklies are in bearish territory as well. Again, it's been pretty sideways for the last year. There's no real conviction movement. If we look at other coins, you see nice big surges in movements. We've not seen that. We've just had the first initial run all the way from December, January, let's say 1st of January 21, it ran all the way up to about May time. It had 6 months of run, all the way from the crazy prices, all the way up to 21. So people 21x from there. And then it pretty much gave the majority of it back and came back down to $3 here on ThorChain. So there you have it, guys. Another good, solid project, right? Another solid project, definitely one worth having on your radar. If they can get a lot of things right, they have a lot of road to go at. It's an interesting space, right? What they're trying to work on in terms of the continuous liquidity pool is a valid USP. It's something that they can do. And the market cap kind of gets me, it's a little bit high. It's a little bit high sitting at $3 at the fully diluted market cap, particularly when I'm seeing other projects with far more traction, hugely undervalued. But again, if you end up with too much of those other projects, maybe you do want to diversify a little bit into something like ThorChain with the Rune token. So there you have it, guys. There is a blend of technicals and fundamentals for you on Rune, as you've all been requesting. If you want to hear more breakdowns of Rune or anything more in particular, let me know in the comments and we can update those in the next video. As always, guys, don't forget to smash up the like button and subscribe. What I'm going to do now at the end of this video is link you back up to the video on phantom tokenomics, because I want you to do is I want you to watch that phantom tokenomics video, and I want you to see how do I break down the tokenomics of a project. Now, it doesn't matter if you're invested on phantom or not. You can then take those learnings and apply it to a project like Rune Chain. So you can do that as a bit of a homework. Watch that video, understand how I break down the tokenomics, and then go and do that exercise for Rune Chain or any other coin you're looking to invest in. As always, guys, don't forget to smash up the likes, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.